Hi, and welcome back to the Dark Pixel Podcast. My name is Mike.
I am Landon.
I'm Kason.
Today we're going to be talking about an interview with Shigeru Miyamoto and Eiji Aonuma about the storytelling in Breath of the Wild. Some interesting tidbits there from them. Square Enix opening a new studio and announcing a new game, Project Prelude Rune, a brand new IP.
Yep.
So that's really cool. Then we get into some of your suggested topics from Alex Tannenberg. He wants to know about our thoughts on our growth, the growth of the channel over the last few months. Had kind of a few questions in there. We'll get to that. Leighton was asking about what are some of our most nostalgic games, personally. And then Mr. Ultimate wants to know what our favorite video game swords are. And then Chris Guin was asking about our thoughts on Steam Direct, which is replacing their old Greenlight program. And I would answer that. It's a good question, a very good topic, but I have never, ever used Steam Greenlight. I've never browsed Steam for games like that, so I just really have nothing to say about it. I have no personal experience or anything to add to that conversation. So.
Nothing.
But that is a cool thing, or an interesting thing.
It's an interesting topic.
That happened. That
Yes.
we know nothing about.
Okay, this interview with Shigeru Miyamoto and Eiji Aonuma, it was interesting because the question was kind of posited to Miyamoto about, hey, you've said in the past that story is inconsequential, doesn't matter, it's not necessary. And he tried to sort of clarify that. He's like, yeah, I might have said that. I didn't mean that it's like not necessary at all. He just doesn't want it to get in the way of playing the game. He admits that it can add a lot of meat and substance to, the world and everything like that.
Right.
Just wants there to be a balance in being
Right.
able to play. He mentioned specifically that he feels like when a story is too it could get too directed,
Too
you
didactic. Yeah.
the player loses a sense of freedom or choice, and that he doesn't like the idea of a lot of setup that doesn't let the player get to actually play the game for a long time.
So in that sense, like with Breath of the Wild, it's like the story's there. You can experience it if you want to, but it's not. It doesn't hinder you.
Yeah.
You're not. It's not like you have to do such and such because of story reasons. It's like you do whatever you want. You make your own story, but it is still there.
Yeah.
And I think that's awesome. That's
Which
probably
sounds-
the best way to go about this kind of stuff.
Yeah, that sounds like that's probably why the game could be beaten very quickly, or you could take a very long time, because it depends on how much you care to get straight to the story or to explore.
Yeah,
I care about stories.
It's interesting, the way Breath of the Wild opens up, it gives you some very interesting world implications and story stuff for about 2 minutes, and then you walk outside, and it's like, it kind of directs you this way, and it's like, hey, there's a guy over there, and go do that. But you don't have to do that. You can just do whatever you want. So
one interesting thing Aonuma said, he said you can go directly to the end game boss at the beginning of the game. He didn't say you could beat it. He didn't say you could beat the end game boss. I'm pretty sure you don't have the right sword, you'd get jacked, right? You need the master sword. That's how Ganon. Well,
We're gonna
the
see
calamity of Ganon. We'll see how that is all treated. But
right.
you can go there. Doesn't mean you can beat Ganon right at the beginning. I just kind of wanted to bring that up because as much as you can do whatever you want, it's still within. It still has limits. It's still within the realm of. It's still pretty realistic. I think.
We're not going to see people doing Dark Souls style naked runs with like a stick,
And then
Ganon.
just defeating Ganon.
maybe we will, though. Maybe we will.
We'll
Who
see.
knows?
As far
Somebody will
as
get good
Zelda
enough.
lore goes, you kind of need the Master Sword, right?
Yeah, definitely.
It's obvious.
But they could change that. That could not be a thing. You could beat him with a branch.
Yeah. One thing that is interesting about that, because of the fact that it is going to be so open, which is kind of a big departure from the more recent Zelda games, which have to be beaten in a certain order, pretty much.
Right.
The last trailer that they showed, the big story trailer, made it look like there was a heavy story emphasis in the game. And so the interviewer brought that up and said, what are you doing to balance the fact that players can just do whatever they want and then also deliver this story? It seems like that would be very, very hard to do. And he did admit that a lot of that stuff can be totally skipped. Like, there's a lot of those cutscenes and story sequences that you can just totally miss if you don't do the game in a certain way or whatever.
That's actually kind of cool. So there could be certain cutscenes in the game that nobody sees for like a while until all of a sudden it's like, oh my gosh, if you go here and do this thing, there's this like crazy event that happens.
Yeah,
that's really cool.
So
I like
hidden
stuff like that.
He was asking about like how are you going to deliver that story if the players can, maybe in sort of at least a lot of them might be able to skip a lot of stuff. And he said he's implementing a trick, a special trick that he's been thinking about, he's been wanting to do for 20 years of his game development career. And he's doing it in this game, and he can't wait for us to figure out what that is.
He said, "You'll see.
You'll see."
Very interesting. Something that he says he's been wanting to implement, or he's been thinking about for a long time.
What it is, because I know what it is. He saw Back to the Future finally, and he's like, "Oh, fetch, let's do another time travel game."
That's exactly it.
You can just travel back in time, and then go do the cutscene if you want.
And then you go back forward in time. And then
you get a time
disappear because that.
And then it's like Harry Potter with Hermione taking too many classes.
The little wind-up thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a really cool. It's got me thinking a little bit, because I'm a big story emphasis guy. I really like to have strong stories in the games that I play, but I do admit that a lot of times when you do that, it limits player customization and player control and stuff like that. So there are a lot of people who don't like that. But and there's kind of at least we haven't seen, I think, yet, a game that like allows for the kind of freedom Breath of the Wild's going for, but also delivers the kind of story that games with really heavy story focus go
that
for.
Is what Final Fantasy 15 was trying to do by making the second half linear.
Yeah.
That was their whole point.
They didn't do both.
That was their
did one and then the other. And I think that
I could see, if you were to have interviewed Tabata, I could see him saying, "We've got a special trick to make this work." You know what I mean? Like, I think it's like, no, if we just do this thing, then you got both.
So, well, then do you think that his special trick is just something dumb like that, or do you?
I don't think so.
Very well made.
I don't think so, but I think Tabata could have represented what he was doing. Is we found a trick.
As a trick that he's been wanting to do for 50 years.
Yeah, for 50. Yeah, dude. Oh my gosh! Ever since freaking that phone game he worked on, he's been wanting to do this trick. Yeah.
It would be really cool, though. I mean, it makes me optimistic and just really interested to see what it is they're planning to implement to balance those two things. Anyways, game's 2 weeks away. We'll find out soon enough.
Yeah.
But
10 days, dude.
That really piques my interest.
What I like is developers having ideas that they've been sitting on and haven't gotten around to. That's what Chris Nolan did with Inception.
Yeah.
He didn't jump right on that. Because he's like, I got this idea. Just waiting for the opportunity and to get to the point where I feel like I can execute it.
And it's weird to think that Miyamoto has kind of had that, like Shigeru Miyamoto, of all people, had this great idea. Was that Aonuma?
Yeah, it's Aonuma's idea.
Okay. As somebody who's been directing games for 20 years, like who you would assume that okay, he can do whatever he wants. He's up there, but I guess he's got things that he's never actually even tried before.
Which is
like
cool,
he's interested to see how it goes. He's been making games for forever.
Yeah, I mean that's what you want to see in your developers. Like they don't have a lack of ideas.
Yeah,
right.
That's
it's
nice.
not like
It's
crap.
nice.
What do we? Okay, we need to make another Zelda. I don't know, man.
Yeah, and it's like he's not just throwing it all out there every time. Obviously, if he's been sitting on this for 20 years, usually you'd think, oh, like in Twilight Princess, like they didn't hold back; they threw everything out. But I don't. Apparently, that's not the case. Apparently, they didn't, and they were holding certain things back for good reason, because of limitations, because they didn't think, oh, maybe the GameCube isn't capable of doing this yet, or things like that,
Well,
so I do like those types of advancements.
Yeah, the big ingredient that's been missing so far is the nature of the dual world mechanic. I know there's lots of spoilers out there already for this game, so guys, like we haven't read any of those things. We're not actually saying this looking for you guys to say, haven't you read this?
Yeah, we aren't. Yeah, we know
Zelda
some
games,
of that's out there.
Zelda games traditionally have a dual world mechanic. There's a lot of things that have been out there hinting very heavily at what it may be with the Master Sword being tarnished versus
exactly. That's
correct. The two different ways that Zelda is dressed in the game. So we've seen cutscenes of Hyrule being destroyed, as well as when it is destroyed, So, whatever that is, I feel like would have to play pretty heavily into what he's hinting at here. That's just just a theory.
You can go investigate what happened in the past, or you can just handle what's happening in the present.
Just beat the fetch out of him.
So I don't care what happened before. Let's just solve this problem.
If you're like got the progressive mentality, like away with the past, we're only looking for the future. Who cares about what happened before?
Yeah, dude, just wipe out all Hyrule's
This is the problem. Let's deal with it. Yeah, destroy
they
burn the books, destroy the history.
100-year-old scroll. You just throw it in the fire. I don't care.
Don't care. The French Revolution. That's exactly what it was.
Hey, French viewers, say hi in the comments below.
Bonjour.
So yeah,
very exciting though. Very
cool
exciting, and it's like story in a different way. I mean, stories in games are always told a certain way, and usually the kind of stuff we're thinking about here, where it's like, oh, you could do it or you couldn't. That sounds more like a side quest. That doesn't sound like the real actual story. And even with Skyrim, it's like, no, those are the side quests that you can go around and figure out and all the history and things. This one seems more relevant. This seems like they even still are doing something pretty new.
Yeah.
That games haven't really tried to do before.
I'm hoping that holiday DLC is controlling Zelda and maybe seeing more of her aspect of the story, because she's obviously really involved.
The holiday.
That if she's not like it seems like she may be with you for a significant part of the story, but I get the sense that there are
it would make
times where
I would love it if that happened, for the specific reason that would likely have come out through some sort of possibly the whole backlash of people wanting Zelda to be playable or wanting a female Link or something, but then not doing it. Yeah. But that didn't happen until like a year ago. So then it would make sense if they had this whole game written out right, and they're like, hey, you know what? We could also do this. And I would like that, because that means the DLC wasn't planned from the beginning.
Right.
And even if it was, it's like it's a whole different story. Well, it is a completely you're controlling a different character.
Then it becomes,
that would not no Zelda's ever done that. So it's not as upsetting that it's a paid DLC as a separate story. It's not just more of
Well, then it becomes okay.
What you already
to the tune of how much money do you care about having a female
$20
character?
There you
go.
You
guys really care?
Pay, yeah.
All right, $20.
Vote with your wallets. That's actually kind of funny.
You want one? All right, we can do that.
We can do it.
It's possible.
For the right price.
Yeah. Cool stuff, though. Game's out in a couple weeks.
We will be getting a Switch from Nintendo, by the way.
Yes.
I don't know if you heard. Nintendo will be sending us a Switch and probably Breath of the Wild. I mean, they wouldn't just send us a Switch with nothing
we'll just
on
have
it, right?
a Switch and we won't even be able to browse.
We won't even know. There's literally nothing to do there. So we will likely have that, but I don't know exactly when it's coming. I would assume it's coming before launch, but they might
maybe in a couple days
send it at launch. Who knows?
Yeah.
We'll see. We'll keep you updated though. If it comes early, we'll do an unboxing.
Yeah, we'll let you guys know. Yeah.
Supposedly the embargo for that kind of stuff is February 23rd, so
which is
when we get it.
Tomorrow.
23rd would be the earliest we could do that for you guys.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, tomorrow. Wow.
Yep. Topic number 2. Square Enix announces a new game, Project Prelude Rune, and they open a new studio called Studio Istolia.
This is funny to me because it's like freak, man. You just keep opening a new studio, and they're this focus, and it's instead of just it's a new project. It's like, no, it's not just a new project. No, man.
This is a new company
vision, like Tokyo RPG Factory or something.
Yeah, the whole
it's not just
company.
you're like, no, you're a new special ops unit. It's so specialized for this task. It's just a weird new trend. I feel like this crap did not happen like 10 years ago.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
And it's funny because before, about 10 years ago, is when Square Enix started buying up companies. They're buying Eidos and Crystal Dynamics, and they're looking to buy, like, a lot of the companies that they own now, they bought back in like 2009.
As opposed to spinning off new...
Exactly. And now all of a sudden they're like, okay, we're not like buying companies as much now. We're just going to start making new ones and investing it. So the money they would have spent to buy an already established company, they're now using to just create a new one.
It's possible
and
this is also...
We'll see how that works out for them.
Yeah, they could be experimenting with different business structure this way as well. If
Totally.
they're at least self-aware enough to realize let's try a few different things and see which one catches on. And then be like, well, apparently this fosters this kind of creativity, and this is great,
I could see this being at least, in part, a result from Tokyo RPG Factory. Their first game came out. It's run its course by now. They've had time to kind of plan for if they wanted to make a new Tokyo RPG Factory. It's been about not quite a year. It's been about 6 months, I guess. But, you know, it would lead me to believe that Tokyo RPG Factory was a pretty good success. Did pretty well for them.
They are also working on a second project themselves.
Yeah, and they're doing more, that's true. But if I'm Setsuna did well enough for them to have seen it be profitable, then why not just create more companies?
Create more mini companies.
Doing their own thing, yeah.
Yeah, it is very interesting.
But this makes me wonder, too. You know, we've got Project Octopath, right? Mm-hmm. That got announced recently, too.
Yeah.
Is there a smaller company that's making that game?
Who is that?
I think
Octopath Traveler or whatever?
Wasn't that maybe I'm totally mistaking this, but isn't that the company that worked on Bravely Default? Are they the ones doing that?
Yeah, I mean, it looks like it, right?
Yeah, I've heard it was. That sounds familiar.
I could be totally wrong about that.
Is that are they a separate company then, or are they just a separate team?
I think the developer is separate, but Square Enix published Bravely Default. But the developer is a separate company, if I remember correctly.
What the heck?
But it is interesting, though, the Istolia, the name of the
it's the
company?
Bravely studio.
It's the same. Okay, so Octopath is being worked on by the Bravely Default studio. But Istolia...
But is that a company, or is that just a team?
It's a company. It's a separate company.
What's it called?
All
right, never mind. We'll look it up later.
I don't know.
Whatever that company's called, somebody put it in the comments. But that's interesting, too, then. They're, even more of their separate companies are doing all this stuff.
Istolia, the name of the studio, is story in Greek.
Yeah.
Why it is they chose Greek, I don't know.
But why it
is they chose story is interesting.
I think that's very interesting.
I would think that the games that they would work on would have very heavy story focus.
Well, here's the thought, and this is going back to RPG Factory as well. They created RPG Factory, and their whole MO was like, hey, we're doing the types of games Square used to make. We're doing the older, the turn-based RPGs that you're not getting anymore. And now, all of a sudden, they make a new company called Istolia that's story. Another thing that people accuse Square of, you aren't focusing on story like you used to. So with RPG Factory, they've kind of they're trying to serve that demand. And so with this company being called Istolia and the Tokyo RPG Factory being called RPG, right, specifically, I feel like they are, at least in some small part, recognizing that and trying to service it through other ways, because I don't know that the Final Fantasy games are necessarily trending in that direction. And so they're like, hey, here's the story that you were missing from the past 10 years or whatever. So I could see that totally as a trend falling with RPG Factory.
Yeah.
The games they used to make, right?
We'll see.
You guys missed stories? Oh, you didn't like Final Fantasy 15 story?
It is.
We'll make a company called Story.
Yes, literally. That's what they did.
It's weird that they wouldn't just apply that criticism to the next game that they make. I mean,
it's probably going to take so
Final
long
Fantasy VII, which is huge
for the next iteration. If they can have smaller projects that have quicker turnarounds,
that's true.
Yeah.
They could be smaller scale.
These ones do old school RPG. These ones do story. These ones,
along that line of thought, we haven't mentioned yet that Hideo Baba, who was a producer on the Tales of series, is the one that they've brought in to head this studio, to be a producer for this studio. Mm-hmm. And Tales of games come out pretty frequently.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
they knock them out really quick, especially in comparison to something like Final Fantasy, right? Yeah. So it could be that they want to get a more steady stream of more story-focused kind of game.
That's true, because Hideo Baba wasn't the director. He wasn't the artistic. He was a producer. He knows how to get things together. He's a producer. He's not a creative necessarily. So, the fact that they're bringing him on to head the team as opposed to some, one of their top directors or something like that, is, I think, very, very, very interesting. That they want more of the process of the Tales games, not necessarily the direction, the story, and those things of the Tales games,
Yeah, Silicon Studios, you brought it up there.
Silicon Studio, but here's the thing. Octopath Traveler is being developed by what's called Square Enix Asano team. Oh, and they're talking like they're part of Square Enix.
Okay.
So it is a lot of the same people.
So they just kind of...
But the way this looks is like they are Square Enix. Just a team. They're calling themselves Asano Team.
Asano Team, the morning team.
How many teams?
It's the dude's last name, I think.
Oh, Asano.
Producer.
How many teams does Square Enix have? This is crazy.
I don't know.
There's a lot of teams.
I don't know. They have tons.
They've become very, very large, bloated company.
Yeah. And they're getting bigger.
Anyways, very interesting storyline. Nice to see them continue to branch out. Maybe, I think that at least the article I was reading was saying that this studio is going to focus on new IP. While maybe some of their A and B teams at Square will work on
the sequel
Final Fantasy
and
and sequels to big existing franchises, that this team is going to be about creating new original stuff.
Too bad, Tabata. You're done with original things.
They have a couple of art images that they shared. It's got a pretty interesting
it looks
style.
Cool. The watercolor kind of a swift stroke kind of art style.
I seriously wonder if this is some type of response to Project Re-Fantasy with Atlas, because Atlas is like, hey, we're going to go back to our roots and rethink this whole thing, because what Atlas is doing right now, they're actually in their development meetings, they're just playing tabletop RPGs at this point.
Really?
For Project Re-Fantasy. They put up some blog posts talking about things that they're learning, but they're strictly playing tabletop RPGs right now to develop the concept.
The game.
Yeah.
Wow.
Crazy. So they're definitely going back to the roots of RPGs.
Yeah.
And I almost wonder if within Square Enix they're like, well,
yeah,
we can do that too.
Atlas is encroaching on Square Enix ground, man.
I mean,
sales-wise, Atlas has taken over what
sales-wise, they're nowhere
used to
near Square Enix.
Right.
But reputation-wise, they're definitely...
And they're growing. They're becoming... Yeah. Like they're getting big. That's very interesting, and also the artwork. It's very interesting. It's very like flight focused. A lot of the camera shots are up in the air. You've got like dragons. You've got a lot of winged creatures, and even when they showed the battle, there's a lot of the only shot where the camera's kind of like ground level. It's looking up, and there's a lot of things happening up in the air, and so. That could be a big aspect here. It could be Aragon. They could have bought the rights to Aragon. They're going to make it a video.
What's the greatest story ever told? Aragon. Okay.
Aragon.
Name studio story by Aragon. There you go.
You go over the Project Re-Fantasy with Atlas, and then we also look at this Microsoft Studios canceled Dragon game.
Yeah,
Dragon
Platinum
Scale.
Studios.
And then it's like this new Square Enix project kind of looks like those two mixed together. It's kind of funny.
Yeah. It's going to be a big sprawling fantasy world that they're working on. So
yeah, it's very exciting.
Well,
but it probably won't be out anytime soon, that's for sure.
Yeah, maybe they'll announce more about it at E3, and if not, probably next year sometime.
Next year.
Yeah. All right, we got user submitted questions. First one here from Alex Tannenberg. Okay, tell me a bit about what you guys think of the channel's growth. I jumped on the Dark Pixel ship a year ago and believed the number of subscribers was around 11,000 then. Now you've more than doubled. Are you surprised by this? I remember there seemed to be a big shift in the channel when Landon and Kaysen became regulars, along with the start of podcasts and live streams. What led to them becoming more involved in the channel? Finally, and this is an ambiguous question, but where do you see this channel in the future?
So if you jumped on around the time, or if you remember when Landon and Kaysen became regulars, then
more than a year ago.
That was back when we had like maybe 6,000 subscribers or less. So it's been a lot of growth in the last year. To answer the first question, are we surprised by this? Not really. Again, a lot of people don't know this. We run another YouTube channel, Dark Pixel, just Dark Pixel. And that channel has almost 200,000 subscribers. So we've seen a lot of success on YouTube.
Yeah, we've kind of gotten used to how the system works.
Yeah, like we understand it. We do the best work that we can. We know that there's an audience for it, a lot of people that really enjoy it. And it's really about just consistency, sticking with it for a long time, learning from mistakes, just improving here and there. We've worked directly with a representative from YouTube who gave us a lot of good advice. We've been to a YouTube sort of like convention that they held in Salt Lake City where they gave us even more really good advice.
We ate the YouTube chocolates, and we just absorbed YouTube into our bodies.
But we
inspiration.
We speak at a lot of events, and we get invited to participate in panels and things at like Comic Cons and such. And so we are people who are pretty well established in YouTube, and we are seen as kind of authorities on how YouTube works. And this gaming channel is, I don't know, it's really interesting, but it is how YouTube works. Is this channel?
The theories
it's
behind
watch time, longer videos. Our main channel, each video is like 2 to 3, maybe 4 minutes long.
Yeah.
Per video, and
average.
YouTube
people
hates
don't spend
that
a lot of
now.
time
YouTube
on that.
hates
on
those
that channel.
videos.
Yeah, it's if you haven't looked at our visual effects channel, I think that channel has 80 million something subscribers or something like that. But the funny thing is it's very little views, not subscribers.
Not 80
million. We're not bigger than
PewDiePie.
But the thing is that channel really hasn't had it hasn't built a community, and that's what you need to do on YouTube. You need, because the secret to YouTube, you guys, right here is secret to YouTube.
Here's the secret.
You guys, right here is secret. Secret to YouTube is if you like something, guaranteed you're not the only human in the world that likes that thing. And there's lots of other people. And you just need to consistently put yourself out there, and those people will find you eventually. And if you put out quality enough, long enough, you'll find people who like the same stuff you do. But the trick is it has to be something you actually like. Yeah. It has to be something you're actually into.
People can tell.
If you're faking it, you'll drop off that. We've seen that happen with a lot of people that just bottom out. But the thing isn't so much about growing quickly. It's about growing steadily. It's about growing
sustainable.
Yeah, and not losing your identity through that process. There's a lot of people, YouTubers, like that we've known. We ran across when they were 1,000 or a couple hundred subscribers, and then they blow up and they're something pretty different now. Yeah. Which is sad to see. I remember the old Freddie W channel. They have comments all the time. I miss old Freddie W. A year after they had, it was like a year, and people are always saying, "I miss the old, I miss the old Freddie W."
Yeah.
So it's important to try and preserve some sense of identity throughout that growth. If you lose that, you're going to lose your early people. They're not going to stick around because they came for one thing.
Right.
And then you got big, and you're like, "No, I want to do this thing now." So,
yeah, but we've been doing this for 5+ years now, and so we've seen a lot of success in the past. We kind of know what needs to be done for continued success, and so not necessarily surprised, but very thankful, very, very glad to have everybody who's coming in and adding their voices to the discussions and stuff like that. Learned a lot from you guys, and it's a lot of fun.
So what a lot of you guys might not know is this channel started only about 6 months or so after our visual effects channel started and started blowing up. We started a vlogging channel. We had a behind the scenes channel already going, and then we had this gaming channel and a music channel. And this is the one that we kind of had like one of those just general like playroom type channels.
Just do whatever you want.
We would just play and just joke and laugh about stuff. And if you go way back, there's a bunch of those videos on there. But we ended up dropping that, and then Mike talked about because Mike had all these Final Fantasy reviews on another YouTube channel entirely, and migrated those over to the gaming channel, and then Mike just kept putting YouTube reviews up. As the years go on and as YouTube starts changing their algorithm, we had a really big video like exactly a year ago that we had been working on for like 6 or 7 months called Star Kart. You should look it up if you haven't seen it. It's a mashup of Star Wars and Mario Kart. And that video we put a ton of time in, and we were like, okay, people are going to love this. It's going to spread all over the internet. And it got shared a lot of places. And
everywhere.
We're really almost everywhere it could be. We're really happy with all of that. People loved it. But YouTube did not love it.
Nope.
And we don't mean any particular person at YouTube, just the algorithm of YouTube did not love that video.
The monster that is YouTube,
Yeah, and so it cut it off. So like that video died. We have videos on our gaming channel that get more views per day than that video gets now.
And that one has like 2 million views, but
yeah, which is like awesome. But when you look at the amount of time
that went into it,
like a 2-minute video,
you
know, and then sure, even if you got 2 million people watching for 2 minutes, YouTube doesn't care really that much. YouTube cares more about people coming back. So right around that point in time, actually, Mike's Final Fantasy IX review had gotten shared on Reddit a bunch, got a ton of traction, and started blowing up. And I remember Mike talking about, he's like, hey, man, I want to do like videos every week on the gaming channel. And he's like, you guys want to jump in on that too? And after freaking StarCart and all that crap, I was like, wow, well, that's probably the smart thing to do.
It was kind of spurred on by Mike, where it's like, hey, I have an idea on how our, like, like the whole YouTube thing actually works, and it's entirely because we want to but we want to play video games. We want to review games.
We just
want to talk about games. We want to do podcasts. We want to do all this stuff, and we can't really do it. And so it's not like, hey, let's do something that you don't want to do, or just to make money or get famous or whatever. It was like, hey, let's do what we want to do now for a little bit.
I know, right?
And just see what happens. See how it works. See if other people really like it. And Mike obviously, had a lot of like Final Fantasy, people who enjoyed that game, and that game was coming out last year. So it was like, hey, let's give this a try.
Fantasy
and I'd say that I like it. I mean, I come into work and I don't have a project that's due a year from now that I have to start working on, and I'm doing the same thing every day. It's more like, hey, some news hit. Let's make a video about that. Or, we're getting a Switch from Nintendo. Sweet. Let's plan some Zelda stuff.
Well, Nintendo used to
talk
send
about
us
what we
stuff.
like and the games we play and what we want.
They used to send us things, and we were like, this is great. Like, we can play this, but, like, we weren't a vlogging channel. Yeah. We couldn't really talk about it.
Exactly.
If we put up a video just saying, hey, I play this game, this is what I think about it, on that channel, people would have been like, what the heck is this?
Yeah, people would have
I
been
didn't
like,
subscribe for
more
this.
VFX pulls.
So, like, if this video went up on that channel, one of these days, just to troll, we should just throw one of our podcasts up, see what happens. But people would not like it. They would not like it.
I'll tell you what, and the idea is though that we strike a balance, that we this channel gets going, it picks up, you guys get excited about it and what we're doing and everything, but we still have a passion for filmmaking.
Yeah.
We still want to do that. We just can't do it at the moment because YouTube is stupid. but we feel like at some point in the future we can hit a balance where we do make some of those VFX videos, way less than we used to, but we still work on that occasionally alongside doing what we love doing here with this channel too. And I don't know when that's going to happen. We want it to happen soon, but this channel maybe still has a little ways to go before we can really pick up filmmaking again.
Yeah, the hope is that as this channel grows into something probably much larger than it is now, that we'll be able to bring some people on to help do a lot of the work that is very time consuming, which will free up time for us to be able to go
editing
back to,
and things like that.
It'll help us to be able to go back to having time availability for filmmaking.
We'd still be the ones making the videos. We'd still be the ones playing the games. We're still the ones talking. It's just a lot of the crappy grunt work. Like, I don't know if you guys know, but like uploading a video where you make a video and then you have to export it, and that takes a while. You have to edit the whole thing. You've got to process the audio. You have to make a thumbnail. You have to write your description. We transcribe a lot of our bigger videos in so that people closed captioning and stuff. And we you've got to link it up in YouTube Gaming to the specific game you're playing. You've got to put the annotation, the end screen cards at the very end of your video. You've got to put things at the beginning. It just takes... There's so much tedious work that is not creative at all, and that takes, a lot of time. And it doesn't sound like it takes that much time. You're thinking of all the tags, the things to tag your video.
As it builds up.
But when you do a video every day...
Yeah, if you do a video a day, it's like... and so once we can get other people to take care of that stuff, we don't have to do that, which you guys don't even care about anyways, because that's just blah. then it's like that actually frees up a lot of time for us.
Yeah, and it would be really nice too to bring in some other personalities too. I mean, some other people who can just add to the team, add their voices, do reviews of their own. That's a way down the line.
That would be wild. Yeah, that would be nice too.
But cool. it would be great to build this channel into something that we participate in, we add our voice to, we do videos for. But the frequent uploads that YouTube's algorithm is asking for would then be able to be done by some other people on a team, so that we can free up some time to do some of the other stuff we like to do as well.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the long-term goal, which I think is
when you
another one of
say
your
where do we see it in the future
channels, or one of your questions here.
Though we do see this gaming channel becoming bigger. I think more and more people are becoming interested in retro games and a lot of the stuff that we like, and RPGs, and of course there's a lot of big games coming out this year, and we feel like that we like and that other people like, and so if we make enough videos, maybe they can come and watch our channel and join our community too, and the community can keep growing. And that's the thing. Our channel kept growing before, the Dark Pixel channel, but the community did not keep growing.
Yeah.
We did not get that many new regular people who commented and wanted to know about us and asked us questions and would have even cared about a podcast like this.
Most new uploads had someone saying, I don't remember subscribing to you guys.
What the F channel is this? Yeah, that happened a lot. And a lot of people thought we do parkour because we did a parkour video that got 50 million views.
That's the thing. Pretty much all of our biggest videos do not have us.
They don't have us in them. Yeah.
You don't see us. So we're in most of our videos.
These videos, you get to know us a little bit better. Anyways, that was like back when YouTube was different. It was about making a viral video, and it's no longer about making a viral video.
Yeah, that's less sustainable now.
Now it's about building a community of people who are passionate about the same things as you are,
and that's more rewarding, anyways. Like the rush of a viral video.
Way more rewarding.
Like when we had our first really big one that hit 1 million views, and we were like, "This is the craziest thing ever." But then after a while, you start realizing, like, this doesn't even matter.
Yeah.
It doesn't even matter.
Yeah.
You know, everyone's like nephew has made a viral video these days, so it's like
at this point,
it's like nobody cares. Nobody cares at all. Obviously, not even the advertisers care.
Not anymore.
Not anymore. It's a good question, Alex. Thank you.
All right,
thank you,
Leighton. What are you guys' most nostalgic games?
Nostalgic
for me. The most nostalgic video game of all time for me is A Link to the Past.
Mm-hmm. I'm playing that right now. And that game, dude, I forgot. I can't believe I forgot this. I finally picked up the Master Sword. I walk out of the forest. I cut a few plants, get a few hearts, and I turn around. I swing my sword, and that beam comes out. I forgot that happened. I was like, oh my gosh, the biggest smile came on my face. I was like, holy fetch.
Because if you got Mass Hearts, it's kind of a shooter.
Cool. Yeah, all of a sudden it's just like I'm killing everyone at a distance. I go into Agnehem.
I never knew.
Anyways, the wizard. I go into Hyrule Castle and I go into kill him. And I just stand at the entrance doorway of every level and I'm just shooting that beam out. Killing everything in the room. Until you get hit once and then you're screwed. And then it's a really hard game. When you can't do that.
Yeah.
But anyways, dude, yeah.
That game, that game is Saturday afternoon to me. I remember playing, lived in Denver, and sitting there, and the first time in my life that I did not go outside to play for an entire Saturday as a kid was playing Link to the Past. And I was like, what the heck? Barring bad weather or something, right? But it was I've had friends outside that are playing football or something right now. I want to play with them,
here.
Good freak, man! I just made it to the Dark World. What is this? What
and
the
you're
crap?
The little bunny.
Yeah.
I forgot about that too.
Yeah, that for me. Every time I pick it up again, it's it feels like Saturday afternoon. 4th grade, 3rd grade for me. So
it's just a well-crafted game too.
Yeah. That would have to be the most nostalgic game for me. There's lots of them out there, but for me, that's my number one probably.
Yeah, I don't know. It's hard to answer because I could kind of look at it two different ways. What's the one that takes you back the most, and then what's the one that most effectively gives you the same emotions that you felt the first time you played it or whatever.
Right.
For the first way of looking at it, I would say probably Super Mario Brothers 3 or Tecmo Super Bowl, because that was a whole era of my gaming life when I was really young on the NES, and then there was a long kind of lull after that where my parents didn't like how much time we spent playing games, and so we never got a Super Nintendo. We got a couple of PC games, but they were pretty lame, like
Load Runner.
Like Math Blaster, and Reading Blaster, and I mean I did get Rebel Assault. Rebel Assault was like the coolest game I had, but it's not even like a game. It's just like a point and click thing, you know. I mean it's a game, but it's not. You know what I mean. Anyways, it wasn't until Christmas '98 when they finally let us get a new video game console. They got us the N64. That like a kind of like new like era of like nostalgic experiences began. And so for that time period, it's all about for me Star Fox 64, Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time, and Harvest Moon.
That music with Harvest Moon.
Any one of those three, I play those, and I feel the same emotions I felt when I was 10, 11 years old, 12 years old. And then, but the one that takes me like way back, where it's like, holy crap, like being a little kid again, it's all about Tecmo and Super Mario Brothers 3. Those two.
Nice. Oh, geez. That is such a hard one for me, but obviously we played Mario RPG so much growing up. It probably would be Harvest Moon, though. Just now that you mentioned that, and I'm like, oh yeah, because I actually played that again recently too, like a few months ago. So that song and the way it repeats, and sometimes when you're going up in the forest, and each new map, like when you exit and go in, this song restarts from the beginning. And every time I hear that, it's just crazy. It's like so many memories come back. Yeah. So.
Harvest Moon is one of those. I think it might be more nostalgic for me than the others because it's more unique. Like,
yeah, it's different. And there hasn't been much since.
There's been a lot of...
you have to have the nostalgic experience. You have to go back to that because they don't make those games.
There's only like
anymore.
one reference I have for Harvest Moon because I haven't played many of them outside of that. And the ones I haven't enjoyed nearly as much.
Yeah, the new Story of Seasons coming out on the 28th.
Yep. Yes. But I've played all the Zeldas and enjoyed them all. So it's like there are lots of like reference points for Zelda I can think back and I loved that. But there's like one Harvest Moon that was like blew my mind. I loved it to death. And so like that's the one thing that like boom, just like it always takes me back. So
there you go. Thank you.
Cool.
Mr. Ultimate wants to know what our favorite video game
I've got the answer to this one.
Or our favorite game sword is.
Majora's Mask Fierce Deity Sword.
It's a sweet sword. Hard to go sword.
Zigzag sword thing, the crazy cool cross pattern. It's freaking huge. And now that I'm thinking about it, that I think is the only time other than Skyward Sword you can kind of shoot. But when I talk about Link to the Past, so when you have full hearts and you swing your sword, Fierce Deity, I'm pretty sure he would shoot out something like that when the sword would swing. It just sucked that you could only be Fierce Deity at the end of the game. But yeah, that sword.
My favorite so cool. Sword design from that game. It's not my favorite sword because it breaks, but it's the one in between when you upgrade from like the little sword. Before you get to like
not the diamond,
gold diamond. The gold diamond
like two
one,
swords. You have like
it's like the break in between.
Blade.
That is the sweetest design in the game, but it breaks after like 100 things that you hit, and that's stupid. Man. And you have to upgrade to like the gold diamond one, and it's like that's a fine sword, but
like, it's a fine blade.
But I really liked the one in between. But
oh man, I don't know if they have that sword in Breath of the Wild. It'll break too.
Yeah, it'll break.
Hate to break it to you.
Hate to break. I think my favorite video game sword is perhaps the Monado from Xenoblade Chronicles.
That's very unique.
It's just really cool. Like lightsabers are sweet, but it's just like the one lightsaber that isn't like a lightsaber. It's got this kind of like cool circular design, and the pattern is how it'll change. It changed the power. So it's like a bunch of different powers, and you can kind of switch, and then, it's kind of got it's got a cool shape to it, and it kind of like opens up and stuff, and then the light comes out of it. I think it's a pretty sweet sword. I like it.
I think I really like Masamune. Like Asian inspired swords, any katana looking sword. That's
like
the coolest, like Sephiroth. Yeah, that's the coolest sword shape to me. But probably my favorite sword, this is going to sound kind of dumb, but the fake Big Goron sword in Ocarina of Time because it freaking blew my mind. Because I think most people, when they play it for the first time, they think they just cheated the system. They're like, oh, fetch yes.
I got the biggest sword in the game, yeah.
And then you got it for a little bit, but you run around and just... But the fact that you can keep using it even when it's broken,
yeah,
I think
is kind of cool. That is kind of cool, yeah.
I don't know. I just really like that. Like, and trying to get the real big Goron, so that just motivated you even more to be like, good fetch, I want the real one because I got to use it for like a little bit, and then I broke it. Now I need to get the legit one.
For me though, I didn't know what the word durable meant when I first played that game. I was like 11 or I don't know 12 maybe, and I was like, "What? It's a non-durable." What do the fishes even mean? I'm buying this crap. I don't care. And I get it, and I break it, and then I sometime very shortly thereafter, I learned what the word durable means.
You know, it's funny because people joke about Link being able to pull things out of nowhere. I mean, any video game character, right? There was a cut scene for, I think, like Street Fighter, the newest Street Fighter, where it's like Cammy walking forward talking to Chun-Li, and she pulls like a card or something out from behind her. But the joke is like, where did she get it from? She's wearing these like tights, like...
Because she's wearing nothing, yeah.
Yeah. That's but like, you know, Link pulling out bombs or bomb shoes or whatever, like that's crazy. But the big Goron sword, like where are you keeping that thing, man? What the fetch? Like, I want to see someone mod Ocarina of Time where Link literally has to have all those things on him somewhere. Like, you got the bombs hanging here, and then actually the amount of bombs that you have, and then like bomb shoes off the side.
Especially,
and then your bottles all jammed.
Take up some of the later games where you can get like 999 arrows.
I know, right? Yeah.
Like
the biggest quiver, and then you probably look like the Happy Mask salesman, like.
Yeah, huge
totally. You can just put it all in your backpack.
Running everywhere, and the big Goron
See,
sword
they all they need to do
to
explain that away is to have like a magic bag, kind of like
Harry Potter
style, where you can just carry as much stuff you want in there, and it would be like explained. And he's just got a little pouch on his belt, and he just pulls it out and pulls whatever he wants out of that.
Or his cap.
One pouch.
He's got it. He's got
his hat.
It's up in his head.
He doesn't have a hat anymore. He does not have a hat anymore.
No,
it's gone. No more.
Can you find hats to wear though?
I think there are.
He has the armor or his face
wear
covered.
one.
Is his face covered, or is he just in armor and then his head is like is totally
Maybe
exposed?
There's no hats in this game, and that's the trick Onu was talking about. He's like,
I figured
that's how you do no hats, but if the hat's on, you're moving forward in the story. Take the hat off.
I can't believe that they ever got that hat to look cool in the first place.
Yeah.
Watch any fan film, anyone who or any cosplayer, anyone who tries to make that hat in real life, it's screwed up. It's so messed up. It does not work. It's wrong. It's just so wrong. But it's funny that as games get more realistic and better, I think that is a thing that also has to go. Because if you can't get it to look good in the real, and games are looking like the real, it just looks kind of dumb. And
it makes me think of like things you can get away with in cartoons, right?
Exactly.
Or a cartoonish style that works, but then like in real life it doesn't. Like, you know, cartoons when somebody gets freaking like honey all over their face and they just like lick it off in a big old circle, and
or
they're
they
clean.
pop a bubble gum,
sweet,
and they just. But it's like, no.
I was thinking about that. Like, what the heck? I wish I could do that.
How that works.
That's bullcrap. All the old Disney ones. Yeah, big circle and then it's all gone. It's like, you make that look realistic? What the heck?
Like Scooby-Doo always would do that.
No,
he'd end every episode with a pie in his face.
Yeah, constantly. And he's happy he got a pie in his face. Do it again.
Just like,
what are you going to do about it?
Clean slate. Like windshield.
Oh, so great.
Yep. I answered that. So we all answered that. So
we all answered the question. I mean, there's so many
other swords. Yeah, I thought the Buster Sword
Keyblade concept is cool. Buster Sword, classic, awesome sword. But I mean,
Buster Sword. I swear to you, is half the reason why I was ever interested in playing Final Fantasy VII.
Me too.
To begin with. And so, like, people joke about exaggerated designs and things, but like when you see a guy carrying a really, really, really big sword and not having a hard time with it, you're like, dang,
that guy. Of course,
that effect
every
might be
game
wearing
does
off
that
now, but everyone does it. But I wonder what effect it has on kids still, though.
Yeah,
you know, you see that guy, and he just like picked up this huge, heavy thing,
and his hair's all spiky. That's the thing you're missing in games nowadays is the
spiky hair.
The way spiky hair. Like
low poly spiky.
Yeah, low poly spiky. Like the top spike of his hair was like about the size of his head.
So his hair's one head tall.
So it's huge. Like totally like what a punk like mohawk. It wouldn't look good in the real, but it looked good in PS1 era.
I know, right? Yeah.
That's so funny.
Yep. Well, guys, so we don't have Dev Hat today. We didn't have ideas written out in time for the podcast. We're going to do that for
This was kind of a shorter podcast anyways. But next week,
I gotta try
all about the Switch, dude. All about Breath of the Wild. And probably all about that Dev Hat.
Yeah, probably all about it. We'll do it every week.
If we do get the Switch tomorrow, that'd be nuts.
If we get the Switch tomorrow, you'll know. You'll all know. But if we get it tomorrow, that would be super.
You'll see Kason screaming on Twitter. Just follow Kason.
Follow me. My tweet where I just said, like, got Switch Woot has, like, I don't know, 30 favorites or something. What can I say?
Not trying to brag or anything.
Got a Switch. That's actually not that much. When you think about it in terms of, like, a Facebook like, it's like, oh, that's not that much.
It's like all your...
But on Twitter, I don't usually get too many of those. So
Awesome, guys.
All right. We'll see you guys next week. Thanks for watching. If you were listening to this audio only, you can check our workout on Dark Pixel Gaming.
Yep.
Gonna have a lot of Zelda videos coming out. Gonna have a Neo review out here, hopefully in a couple days. And Mass Effect's coming out after that. I'm playing Final Fantasy Tactics now. Got a review for that coming out.
Automata
comes out soon.
Nier Automata comes out in like a couple days, right?
Horizon Zero Dawn comes out next week, and that's getting good reviews.
Yes, Horizon.
Yep.
So
really good reviews.
We will not be able to play them all, sadly. But for sure, Breath of the Wild. For probably mostly sure Mass Effect. Yes. And the other ones kind of, we'll see.
Well, if there's lulls in the next couple months,
then we can revisit Horizon.
Go back and play those, and then give thoughts.
And we are looking, on Patreon, our next goal, and we're like pretty close, very close. We're looking to buy a PS4 Pro. It's $400, and once we hit that $400 mark on Patreon, we will have a PS4 Pro, which is cool. But what it really secretly means is that we'll have two PS4s now. Yeah. And we'll be able to kind of split apart one, we'll be able to play one game. Like currently Mike's playing Neo and Landon is playing Persona 5, but we only have one PS4, so that's kind of... But anyways, help us get to the next level. And then all of a sudden we can play some of these games that are coming out now and that we aren't really going to be able to cover. Especially as games come out on the Switch and the PS4 also, like we're all going to have a Switch. So... Anyways, that's just going to help our work.
I'm secretly thankful that the Switch isn't like a super front-loaded release.
I know.
Yeah. Tons of games like
we'd have so much to do.
Yeah, gosh dang.
It's funny.
All right, anyways, see you next week. See you on Friday. We're going to have a poll on Patreon for which games you're playing for, unless there's something coming out.
Patreon.
Is there?
I don't... Well,
this Friday?
This Friday, no.
Oh, this Friday.
There will be
Horizon Zero Dawn.
There will be a poll.
We'll do a poll.
There'll be a poll on Patreon to vote on which game you want us to play on Friday. So
check it out.
See you then.
Check out Patreon.
Peace.